fucking Willikers, I'm excited, Alex. You know why I'm excited?
Why are you excited, Jordan?
Because this is our first episode of Port of Dorks! Ah!
I think you might have killed a couple people with that scream, especially those wearing headphones. But
I apologize for that. Alright, hi everybody. My name is Jordan Peterson. You can call me JP. I have my good friend and co-captain,
Alex
Kleinsword, with me right here. So this is our first episode, obviously, if you didn't hear before. And what we do here is pretty much talk about all things dork. We're going to talk about movies. We're going to talk about video games, comic books, TV, maybe some technology, maybe sprinkle in a little politics. I know you can't wait for politics, but Alex.
Oh yeah, I love talking about politics.
All right. So let's, you know what? Screw it. I'm not gonna read the rest of my intro. Let's just go into it. So we just got back from Suicide Squad, everybody. Suicide Squad.
Yay!
Alex only audibly sighed once, which is a good sign.
Yeah, and it wasn't as audible as during Batman vs Superman, which is something.
I thought, just because that movie is like quiet. It's dark and some. Except, you know, when Batman and Superman are going at each other, they're pretty quiet. It's like it's dark and slow. It's a quiet movie, and all of a sudden you hear, "Oh!" right next to me. This guy, he was not happy doing that movie. All right, Alex, let's hear it. Were you happy you're doing Suicide Squad?
Happier than Batman vs Superman. Yeah,
That's good.
it was at least fun for some of the time. A good chunk of it was enjoyable.
Yeah. I like the beginning when they're setting everything up.
Yeah,
I think
except
first act
for,
is the what?
you know, what was her name? Waller?
Amanda. Yeah.
Yeah, Amanda Waller. She was in that section a lot, and she's in way too much of the movie, and her dialogue was horrible, especially during that section. But when it was the villains, it was pretty fun.
Put him in a hole and threw away the hole.
Mm-hmm.
My God, that line is awful.
That's worse than that wizard came from the moon. At least that wizard came from the moon is fun.
You know what?
Get a good shirt out of that.
Today, you know, Facebook has those memory things. You have a memory with blah, blah, blah. I don't check those out very often, but I checked it out today. Today is the 1 year anniversary that Peter Dinklage got replaced.
It's been that long?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Time flies.
They're almost coming out with another, like, big add-on for that. It's crazy.
But they're always coming out with another big add-on for that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so Amanda Waller, that terrible dialogue,
Yeah.
especially in that. I mean, from the trailer when she says that line, my skin curled.
Yeah.
Just awful.
She was by his side.
She is?
Yeah.
Why?
She didn't die.
Oh, shit.
That's the only time in a movie where I was like, I want this person to just leave this movie. I don't want to see them anymore.
So it's not because she was a good villain and you just wanted her dead. She just annoyed you.
Yeah, I was bored every time she was on screen.
That's funny because during Comic-Con, when they were doing the Suicide Squad panel, David Ayer came up on stage and he was like, what did he say? I can't remember the name of the actress now. What's her name?
I don't know.
I can't remember. But he's like, I got 2 words for you. And then her name. I can't remember what that is. I feel like an idiot right now.
Reading podcast material.
Oh, yeah. I come prepared.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and everyone was like, yeah, woo! And she was, like, supposed to be the big hit of this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can kind of tell
Yeah.
that that's what they wanted it to be.
So that's funny that you feel that way.
She was probably in more of the movie before they did all their like re-edits and reshoots and stuff.
Yeah.
Knowing, Warner Brothers.
So was she the low with the low for you?
For this movie, probably, yeah. At least consistently, right?
Yeah.
The lowest thing that was kind of consistent throughout the movie.
And the movie's out, so you can go see it. So we're gonna spoil the crap out of it for you. So if you don't want it spoiled and you're listening, stop listening. Because we're gonna talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
How about when she shot at all those people?
It came out of nowhere, and it was stupid.
I mean, it was established that she was a mean person.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't established that she's okay with killing a room full of people.
Yeah, well, it's like, it might have been better if I cared about that character at all.
Yeah.
But I really didn't, like, I didn't know who anyone in that room was. Up until we got into that room, I didn't even know they were going to, like, trying to get a person out of that area.
Oh, I know. Isn't that
I had
terrible?
no clue. Yeah, I felt like I knew what their goal was, and then they were just off doing something else, and I had no clue up until that point. And then they're all over the place with the plot, especially. Like, it doesn't feel like there's like a single like villain that you're supposed to be like rooting against until pretty much close to the end.
Yeah. So
even though they set up the villain at the beginning, like they go all over the place.
Mm-hmm. They don't really set her up in the beginning.
Well, yeah. Well, when she,
I mean, they set her up. They don't set her up as the villain.
Yeah.
Until a little later.
Well, I feel like that point when she escapes is probably about a quarter of the way through the film.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of sets up, when they're about to like leave and go on their mission. It set up as her being the villain, and then for like the next 40 minutes, she's not.
Yeah, and that's one of my biggest problems with the movie, is I didn't feel a huge sense of urgency, and I feel as if though Amanda Waller does at the beginning, but for no good reason, because I thought what they were going to do, or what they should have done, is that she wanted to establish this team of miscreants because something is going to happen, and because something's happening, and we need people who can take care of it, and Superman's gone.
Mm-hmm.
But she's kind of like, we need to have these people just in case, and then something happens that, like, she doesn't establish, something doesn't happen, and then she's like, oh no, we need to do something about this. She just kind of is like, we should put together a team in case something should happen, and then of course something conveniently kind of just happens.
It happens because of her too. It's not like
it
her
does.
plan is not like justified at all in the film.
Yeah.
It's not like the Avengers, and I know the Avengers are heroes, but it's like, Nick Fury's kind of a dick, but at least he gets results from shit that he didn't cause too much. I mean, he is the reason why
most of it's Tony
got
Stark,
into all that shit. But yeah, like specifically, if she didn't do the stuff that she did, none of it would have happened.
I thought, like I said, I thought it would have been better had, I don't know, something's happening, let's get a group of people together who can deal with it and then go get it. I thought that would have given this like a better sense of urgency, but instead, like you said, it's kind of like, I need a team, and then because she's putting together this team, something happens, and now they need to go get it.
Yeah.
And then they establish it with there's that government conference room, and where they're like
that whole scene.
Yeah, that whole scene with like, something inhuman is happening, sir. Activate Task Force X. I'm like, oh sweet, they're gonna go fight something inhuman. But then it just, out of the blue, for no reason, it just becomes, oh, we're gonna go. Amanda Waller's like, we're gonna go rescue somebody. Like, what?
Yeah.
I thought we were gonna go take care of this inhuman entity.
And you have to rescue her, who you don't. I had no idea she wasn't with everyone else.
She stayed up. She stayed behind because she had to study the witch. I don't know why that.
You don't have cloud saves?
Yeah.
You can't do that on your phone?
She does everything else through the iPad.
Yeah. Apparently she's so fast with her fingers that all of the most dangerous criminals in the world are afraid of her touching a button on her smartphone.
Yeah.
I can't get links to work properly on my smartphone. I have to tap it like 15 times.
Only the best for Argos.
Yeah, every time she held that up, I was like, Deadshot is faster than her like thumb could hit that touchpad. Like, not really a threat.
The writing is terrible, and I think it's easy to say that the writing is the worst part. David Ayer supposedly only had six months to write the script, and you can kind of tell.
Yeah, you can tell where all the like changes were too. I felt like that they were saying they were making after Batman vs
Oh,
Superman.
you mean like the tone change?
Yeah.
More fun?
The music felt really thrown in there,
Gosh.
and it was so loud.
And
it was very overpowering.
And every 40 seconds they're changing the song, especially in that first act. It felt like me going through my iPod.
Yeah. It felt like they were trying to be Guardians of the Galaxy, but not at all understanding why that soundtrack worked within the film.
And over a year ago, so last Comic-Con is when the first trailer for Suicide Squad leaked. And then since it leaked, Warner Brothers and DC was like, oh, whatever, we'll just throw it on the internet. And so they did. And that was the I started a joke. It was the really eerie rendition of that Bee Gees song. And it was dark, and it was slow, and it was lumbering. And you could tell it was supposed to fit in with this dark Man of Steel universe. And then it fit tonally later with the BVS trailers. So yeah, so it was definitely supposed to be darker and different, at least originally, until Deadpool and then the bad reception of BVS came out. So you can definitely see where those have been forced in there, and especially that music. My gosh.
Yeah, I remember the Bohemian Rhapsody trailer came out. That was the second one, right? Or maybe.
Yeah, I think that was the second one.
But yeah, that got me kind of excited. But then I thought a little bit and remembered the original trailer, and it's like it felt like they were pushing this thing way too late. Like they were trying to make it something that it wasn't originally, and it makes it feel really, really tonally weird, and it just doesn't feel right. Like it doesn't have a very good flow to it.
No, not at all.
And I don't think that. I think DC being like their movies being dark it can be fine. And I think that's what DC Comics does well. That Marvel is more like fun, bright, like
vibrant.
Yeah, and there could be some dark stuff in Marvel, but it's more like it fits the like fun action like blockbuster sort of genre, like a popcorn movie that's just fun to watch.
DC movies can be more mature. That's all right. Nothing wrong with that.
But both of those are fantastic. I feel like in the comics they both fit those niches pretty well most of the time.
Yeah, and it offers variety for audiences, definitely. I mean, I think variety is something that, like, that's what keeps something alive, is variety. And if you try to be more, if DC wants to try to be more like Marvel, then I think that's probably bad for business.
Yeah.
In the long term, because it's going to start to feel more repetitive every time we go to a superhero movie.
Yeah, and I think that the biggest issue with WB right now is that they think they're basically just following the money, and that's how it's been for a long time. It seems like each time they've done something really well with these properties, it's been like on accident. Like they've like given it to someone and like, here, you can do something with this, and now we don't care, like do whatever, and then it becomes super popular. Like I think Batman Begins was like that. The Arkham games were like that. And then when it's their turn to take the property and try and make more money off of it after the original people who really were creative about it are finished with it, they don't have any idea why it worked. They just see the basic stuff and they seem to push that really hard. Like they don't, Zack Snyder's stuff seems like it's probably the way it was because none of them understand that, like, why Dark Knight was good because it was dark and gritty. They just know that it was dark and gritty, which you see a lot. Zack Snyder seems to do that a lot. Michael Bay does too, though he's not involved with that, where they just kind of know how things sort of look good, and they can recognize when something's been done good, but they can't really identify the deeper reason as to why. And so you get something that feels like really hollow. Like it can be really good to look at, but it tends to be, it doesn't really have a soul to it. It's unfortunate.
It's because Katana took them all with her sword. Yeah, I think DC really needs to just trust the filmmakers, let them make their movies. Because I mean, I have it on the shelf. I haven't watched the Ultimate Cut of Batman v Superman yet, but it's got much better reviews than the theatrical cut before the studio got involved.
Yeah, I've been wondering. I thought that you would be talking to me about that at some point. I was wondering if it was bad and you just didn't feel like talking about it.
No, I just haven't had time. It's over 3 hours, man.
Yeah.
We're busy.
But
yeah.
You ever watched that collection of Lord of the Rings that you got for that
Yeah,
Black
man.
Friday?
Those are for when I get sick. Those are my sick days.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, just trust the filmmakers and you'll come out with something. Maybe it doesn't look exactly like The Dark Knight. Still, So one of my bigger issues, this might just be me, because as you know, I'm a Batman fanboy. Is what they did with Killer Croc. Now, I thought the practical makeup on him was beautiful.
Yeah,
that was
great.
Gorgeous.
And even on the close-ups, they had the different I don't know, you call those
coloration on the
coloration, and there's these little circles, and it's very intricate, and it looks fantastic.
Very well done. Yes, it does.
Yeah, and with that, the eyes always seem really weird, and they're not. The eyes are still a little weird with Killer Croc, but they're not as weird as you'd expect from something like that.
Yeah.
Like that kind of makeup, it fits really well around his face.
Oh, I love when his eyes glow when he's in the cell.
And it was probably a pain in the ass to get that put on him, but it looks great.
That's okay. He got paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
Killer Croc is one of my favorite villains in the Batman universe, because Rogues Gallery, I should say, because he is such a tragic character, because he doesn't enjoy being this crocodile thing, and the world has kind of shunned him, and he's kind of living the role that the world sees him.
What is his most established backstory? Because I know his really original appearance where he was just kind of a scaly sort of big mafia guy, and
what is it
transformed? But I don't really know.
So they hit on it a little bit in Arkham. I can't remember what it is.
I didn't really pick up on that, but yeah, I think it's just that he just I don't think it
he
was
was
any
human.
kind of weird experiment or anything. He just kind of
It was like a
had some
disease.
sort of disease or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a disease, I think.
Like that dude who slowly turned into a tree. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
What was that? It was early 2000s. That story came out.
I remember that. But it was like a disease, and people treated him like a monster because he started to look like one, and so he kind of hid himself away. And
yeah, it's weird because they say that, but then they don't follow that up with the behavior.
And then what do they do with him in this movie? They go, he's a black guy. Let's give him the BET joke. And I saw that the first time, because I've seen this now a total of 3 times. I don't need to see this movie anymore.
There's a BET joke?
Yeah. But at the end, when she's when Amanda Waller's like, anybody else want requests? And then Deadshot's like, I want to see my daughter. And Harley Quinn wants that coffee machine. And then Killer Croc just goes, B-E-T.
Oh, okay.
I slapped my
forehead
forehead
and
and
said
shook
something
my
about
head.
TV or something. Who played him again? It was
Adewale. I cannot pronounce his last name.
No?
I'm not going to even try. He did a good job. But they took one of the most beautiful, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful villain stories, and he's a black guy.
Yeah.
Give him that joke. And then he's watching the TV with the asses shaking and the rapper.
I liked the moment where his little sewer cage thing was more homey for him, but that, especially with music that was playing that was clearly not at all rap, and have him bobbing to rap music that you can't hear.
You hear Bohemian Rhapsody the whole time.
And you just see butt shaking. Which also something about the end that I found really weird, and it's not a problem with the movie itself, but that I think what was it, the first trailer? They just showed you the end in one of the first trailers. It's just the final scenes.
Yeah. That's another thing is I felt like every scene in this movie had at least one thing shown in the trailer. 70% of the movies on the internet for you to go see.
Yeah, I felt like those were seeing those trailers. Those felt like really good introductions to those characters. But then they're at the end, like, which is weird. And the introductions to the characters are still fine. Just, it's an odd choice to me.
So
I'm really burpy right now.
that's okay. It's all the soda from the movie. We just got back, so what else? I'm trying to think of other things I liked or didn't like. There's very few things I liked about this movie. Batman. I like Batman.
Yeah. There were a couple of good action scenes. I feel like the majority of the action scenes were the ones you typically see, where it's just tons of cuts and it's confusing. And we saw it in 3D, and watching in 3D, plus all of the cuts and how dark the movie is, it was almost impossible to keep up in some of the scenes. But a couple of them were pretty good, or there were at least some moments. There was a fight scene where where it was mostly a confusing mess of a fight scene, but then at the end, it's like these somewhat longer shots of Deadshot just taking out all of those weird monster things, and that was awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, I really liked that. But it was just like a couple seconds.
When he was like on the hood of the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Taking people out. Yeah, like there's good moments in there, but yeah, it definitely feels like they probably cut corners on the fight scenes, which is why they usually do all those cuts, right? Because they don't want to have the complicated choreography that you have to like do 50 times to get right.
Well, that might be part of it, but it's also because action scenes, it's something you learn in film school, or that I learned in film school, is those quick cuts. It's about pacing. Action scenes are supposed to, quotations, supposed to be more exciting, and quick cut is just a way to get that excitement.
Yeah,
it's just by the constant cutting.
I feel it's got to have something more to do with that, though. I mean, it might just be that that's tradition for a lot of people.
Well, no, specifically, and this might say something about my professor, but in one of my media production classes, when one project was specifically in action sequences, and one of the requirements was we had to keep it, like, the cuts coming.
I mean, like, I don't know. I remember the last movie I think I've seen where I have, was really impressed by the action was probably The Raid, and I've only seen the first one, I haven't seen the second one, but
those Raid movies.
There's really fast cuts in those, but it's not.
No, the choreography is.
And the choreography is awesome, and
kick ass.
I haven't really watched any like old kung fu movies, but I've seen stuff from them, and like, especially Jackie Chan had this whole thing where he would like spend a whole day like trying to do one thing right. And that's why his action scenes were so cool, and they were very smooth, and they looked great, but they were like all one shot oftentimes. But it took forever.
Yeah, if you haven't seen The Raid, definitely go check out The Raid. Raid 1 and 2, terrific action films. Supposedly they're doing American remakes, which doesn't excite me.
Probably gonna have too many cuts.
Yeah, it doesn't excite me in the least. What else was? Batman has a few seconds. I like Batman. I came out of this Suicide Squad thinking the same thing I thought when I came out of Batman v Superman, which is, wow, I cannot wait for that Batman movie.
As long as it's, if it gets written well. I think Ben Affleck's a pretty good Batman. He wasn't really in this a lot, though.
No, you got Ben Affleck writing.
He's writing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's done. He wrote it. He and Jeff Johns.
Did he get more than 6 months?
I don't think so.
Yeah, probably not.
Because I remember hearing a few months ago when I don't know if he had written it or what, but his agent was talking about it, pitching a script, which apparently is rumored to take place in Arkham Asylum, which would be awesome.
Yeah.
So I hope he gets the Killer Croc. That's another thing. In Suicide Squad, Amanda Waller talks about Batman running Killer Croc out of Gotham. I really don't feel like that's something Batman would have done, because Batman always, they fight a lot, but Batman generally treats Killer Croc pretty good, like a dude, because he empathizes with him.
Yeah.
I don't think running Killer Croc out of Gotham is something Batman would do.
That doesn't seem like a way you'd want to solve an
Like,
issue.
mhm.
Like, I feel like if you thought Killer Croc was a danger, he'd go all the way across the world if he needed to. Not sure about the film version of Batman. He doesn't seem to go any farther than across the bay, apparently. But, you know. Yeah.
They're right across the bay from one another, Gotham and Metropolis. But Superman has never heard of Batman before.
Yeah, that's so weird. I was thinking about that earlier. I know it's been a while since that movie came out, but that really bugs me. Like, Batman is supposed to be this hero by this point in Batman versus Superman. He's supposed to have been around for a while, and no one's just like Clark. Batman's been around for a while. This isn't news.
Well, and more than that, he doesn't know who Bruce Wayne is.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne should be more popular or well-known, better known than Batman.
Lawrence Fishburne should just be like, yeah, we wrote about this 10 years ago.
He's been doing this for a while.
It's like, but he's just like, no, write sports.
Yeah.
Sports is the important thing here.
My God, let's please not get into that movie.
Yeah, let's not.
Oh, so many passionate little flames burning inside me right now.
Suicide Squad didn't make me as angry. I was just bored through, anything that wasn't the supervillain stuff.
Yeah, I wrote in my review, it doesn't really have anything special that we haven't seen before. I even mentioned, and I don't know how you feel about this because we haven't really talked about it, but the Joker, to me, in this movie, aside from the green hair, there's nothing that establishes Jared Leto's character as the Joker as opposed to any other villain.
I mean, I think that's okay that they didn't spend extra time establishing him, because I feel like these movies do that too often. So, I mean, I was actually kind of glad to, for a moment, have the movie assume that I knew something about these characters I've been watching for, my whole life, basically.
I know, but when you bring in a new version...
Yeah. I think that's okay. I think they could set him up later, and that'd be fine.
It's like they wanted... he kept doing that weird thing with his hand.
Yeah,
I hated that smile on that.
When I first saw it, it was kind of interesting, but then I realized it was a tattoo.
Yeah.
Like, if he drew it on his hand, it would have been okay, I think.
Well, then he had the marker smile.
Yeah, and that was weird.
Oh my God, a little too much. I get it. The guy likes to laugh.
I feel like, yeah.
Oh
I mean,
and then he did it to Harley. Oh.
And I mean, Jared Leto is a good actor, but I feel like, I mean, I've heard some stories of him basically making himself insane to prepare for this role, which is crazy, and it doesn't really pay off. I mean, he seems pretty crazy in the movie.
Yeah.
He gets into the role, but it's not well enough written or directed or anything to really make it worth that kind of impact.
They talked about in an interview he spent, I don't know if you've heard about that, but he spent hours on YouTube just watching violent crimes. And he's like, one thing I learned about crime is that not everybody does it out of heated passion. Sometimes people know what they're doing, and it's cold, and it's calculated. I was like, oh my God. Christ. Get this guy away from me.
Yeah. I don't really like the Joker in general in this movie. I mean, I know everyone, or most people, have been kind of against it since the first image came out, and I was kind of willing to give that a shot, but it just didn't work. The look didn't work. His voice was okay, but yeah, it didn't really feel like the Joker to me, and the Joker could be a bunch of different things.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
There's nothing that really. It's almost as if they tried to shove it down your throat that this is the Joker with the tattoos. I think the tattoos were the biggest part of that. When he had like the card on his neck, those freaking smiles on both hands, ha ha, the J on his cheek. I mean, I get it. It's the Joker, but I didn't like in Leto's performance or in the script. There wasn't anything that really signified him as being different than, say, a crazy gangster.
Yeah, which I feel like they went too hard with, like, him being, like, a 1920s gangster with, like, his clothes and stuff. But but also like a modern gangster at the same time, and like neither of those really work for the Joker. Penguin, maybe you could do both of those at the same time, but the Joker is just like, yeah, he's like has interactions with like this like crime boss in a strip club, and it's just weird.
I think. What do you think about him? His plot in this movie, because he kept obviously he's trying to get Harley Quinn back freer from the squad. Kind of reminded me of the Blues Brothers. Jake's ex-wife, when she kept showing up trying to kill him in random spots in the movie. Like at one point, she has a grenade, a rocket launcher. I kind of wanted to see more like that, but it was more flashbacks, and he really only tried to get her once. I think I would have put him in there a little bit more with kind of funnier scenes like that, trying to get her.
Yeah, and I felt like something that always interests me about Joker and Harley's relationship is that Harley is very clearly like head over heels and like psychotically obsessed with the Joker, like in a way that is not healthy at all. And the Joker, you can never really tell if he actually likes Harley or if he just has her around because she loves him and he can boss her around and do whatever. And in this movie, it seemed like they really pushed
that he cared
a lot. And I like when it straddles that line of like, is he just using her or does he actually care or what? Like, I find that much more interesting.
Yeah, they didn't really. And the movie's called Suicide Squad, and it felt pretty safe. And that was one way that they were pretty safe. They didn't really address the abusive relationship at all. Because Harley's insane, and
I think Margot Robbie did a really good job.
Oh, she was like ripped from the animated series, man. She was my favorite part of that movie is Harley Quinn.
Though I feel like Margot Robbie is a nice butt, but I don't feel like we had to see it as much as we did in this movie.
Yeah,
like it's probably like 20% of this movie is just shots of her butt, like walking in those.
Oh, and then there's the one
shorts.
At the end that is literally under her buns with a witch just like whipping her or something. But there really isn't like, as far as romantic relationships go, I could kind of see why she was into him because he was nice back. You could tell he cared, and I never like I don't want that. And like you said, in my Harley Joker relationship, I want to be able to tell that she's crazy from loving him despite him being a total ass to her.
And they didn't do a good job setting up why she fell in love with him in the first place either.
She just kind of does.
Yeah, like, it's like they seem like they're setting it up, but then they don't actually give you any reason why she would care. They just kind of say that he does, and then he breaks everyone out of prison, and she's in love with him for some reason. As
part of the reason at the beginning, we talked about Amanda Waller and how she introduces everybody in the beginning. She has that line that I don't like. That line where she's talking about the Joker and Harley Quinn as the king and queen of crime in Gotham City, and God help anybody who disrespected the Queen. I've seen this movie 3 times. I always shake my head at that line because the Joker should be the one disrespecting the Queen.
Yeah.
I never.
And I mean, most of her lines are just awful.
Would you say evolution took a step back with that one?
I don't know. You mean?
That's one of her lines. When she's introducing crime.
Oh, yeah.
Would you say that?
I think even by that point, it's just checked out when she was talking. I was too busy rolling my eyes. Yeah. But then she makes that analogy of king and queen with Joker, and then makes a king analogy again, like 5 seconds later when she talks about Diablo. Diablo is also an issue in this movie, though. When he transforms, that was pretty cool. But when he has character development, but it's like that AC/DC ride in Disney World, it goes just from 0 to 60 in the last
Aerosmith.
like 5.
He's
Aerosmith.
talking about the
Aerosmith
Aerosmith ride at MGM Studios.
I haven't been there for like
Yeah.
what, like
Man,
10 years.
When you and I looked over and we laughed because he goes, I already lost one family. I'm not going to lose another.
We only found out that he lost his first family 5 minutes ago,
Yeah.
and he's only had 2 lines before that.
Mm-hmm.
There's literally no reason for any of these characters to be as connected with each other as they
Yeah.
are. I mean, they set up Deadshot and Harley like okay, and with Harley it makes sense that she would attach to other people
Yeah.
because that's part of her personality typically. But no one else seems like they should be around. And why Captain Boomerang showed up again for the final fight scene makes no sense. Because he just runs out of there and then he just comes back.
Which is totally in character.
It is?
Well, for him to just bowl.
Yeah, for him to bowl.
Yeah, when he says that they're free.
I don't really know any of his stuff from the comics or anything.
I don't either. I don't know anything about Captain Boomerang. Everything I know about Captain Boomerang is from Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I both know how we feel about that show. I was going to say... Oh, you were talking about how Joker and Harley Quinn's relationship is kind of just, like, already established, or they don't really show you. Like,
well,
she kind of just
they
isn't...
try to establish it. They just don't give you any reason why that should work.
They do the same thing, and I had the same thought about Rick Flag and the Witch.
Mm-hmm.
I did not buy that.
I didn't care about Rick Flag at all in this movie.
Everybody seems to like Joel Kinnaman, and I don't. And it's not all his fault. It's his part. Rick Flag is not particularly well written like anyone else in the movie, like everyone else in the movie. But he's just like, he has the same face on House of Cards. It's just everything. Everything he's in, he does that same face. Every line delivered with that same face.
His conflict too also seemed to kind of come out of nowhere. Like, I don't know.
That third act, the end of the second act, beginning of the third act, with that whole bar scene where everybody's character motivations are just all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
It's awful.
Yeah, Killer Croc also has no reason to be there.
Nope. They even say, okay, sure, in the bar, Deadshot realizes he's a terrible person. He wants to do at least one good thing in his life for, sake of his daughter.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
He's the only one who had
emotional
even half
yeah.
decent characterization and progression. Harley Quinn was okay, but that's about it.
He's definitely the anchor of the film.
Will Smith did a great job.
Oh yeah, he's
one of the best parts of that movie by far.
Total movie star, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, sure. But it's that scene just before the bar. They go to the helicopter Amanda was taken from. He finds that folder. He throws. He's like, you tell everybody now. To Rick Flag, and Rick Flag just spills the beans for no reason to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And he says,
yeah, at that point he could still kill all of them with one button press.
Yeah, and he doesn't. He's like, load up, we gotta go. And he's like, no, you tell everybody now, or else I'm gonna leave, or something like that. And so he just spills the beans, even though, like, 15 to 20 minutes earlier in the film, he had asked him to spill the beans before.
Mm-hmm.
And he says something like, you wouldn't believe me, or something like that. It's stupid line.
Mm-hmm.
And what else? I mean, that whole scene is a mess.
Yeah, and apparently, Deadshot, I mean, I know he's got great eyes, but he reads that folder, which is like...
And quickly.
Like, it's a huge folder.
Yeah.
He knows everything that's in that folder.
No, he picks it up, and then the next shot,
he
knows
everything.
He knows
everything. It's...
and so he reads everything in that instant. Gets mad at Rick Flag. Rick Flag spills the beans, becomes a crybaby for some reason. Because he knows that the bad guy, that Judy Moon, his girlfriend, is the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
But then he picks that moment to get pouty about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they all decide to go have a drink. And they're like, oh, well, we almost did it. And nothing's happened between now and the 5 minutes ago when you were just, like, ready to kill this chick. They just all decide to get moody Well, and what I was going to say is, you're right. Like Killer Croc has no reason to be there, so they kind of Deadshot. Okay, I'll buy. He wants to do
Mhm.
this. He picks up Rick Flag. They go cool, but then Harley Quinn just goes, "All right, you got anything else better? You got nothing better to do."
Yeah, I feel like
That's
that.
she literally establishes her motivation
Mhm.
for doing this is for is because they got nothing better to
Yeah,
do.
and I feel like in her case, at that point, um, she thought the Joker was dead, which the Joker rescues her at one point, and then they're in a helicopter, gets shot down, and Harley is the only one who makes it out of the helicopter before it like explodes or whatever. Um, and yeah, so she thinks Joker's dead, so I can see why she wouldn't care, but I don't see why everyone else would just bolt, like just get out of
I
there.
mean, and Captain Boomerang does at
Yeah.
that point, and then in the next cut,
Apparently he just got a beer
yeah,
and he came back, but he
yeah.
was in a bar already.
No, he takes all
Oh, he
all the
takes them.
drinks with him, and then he
Okay.
bolts, and then like a shot or two later,
Uh-huh.
he just comes back for no reason,
Mhm.
even though he does
So he just like
nothing.
took those couple minutes
Yeah.
to chug all those drinks and
Nope.
just come back.
Yeah.
He just wanted to do it in an alley or
Yeah.
something.
That's he does nothing.
He has like his character motivation gives him the most reason
To want to be
to
out of
just
there.
leave.
Yeah, and
Like,
he does at one
mhm.
point, but then he just inexplicably comes
Yeah,
back.
like even Killer Croc, it's like maybe he doesn't care, but he ends up being too heroic for him to just be doing it because he doesn't care. It's
It's a
all
mess.
over the place.
Yeah, but that's my least favorite. Is just the character motivations,
Yeah.
especially in that part. It's just they're just all over the place,
Mm.
and I mean, we could talk about we could go on for hours about this movie's problems.
Yeah, I did like that they seem to be moving towards the kind of crazy supernatural stuff more
Mm-hmm.
than in previous stuff where it felt like they were trying to stay away from that, which once with Batman that could be okay, but once they brought in Superman, it was like really weird to try and be realistic with a guy who shoots laser beams out of his eyes. Um, so yeah, I liked that it was more colorful. It was still really dark,
Yeah, it was.
but the having some added color that actually popped was nice.
Mm-hmm.
There were some kind of like designs that I thought were interesting for some of the characters, but
I have a question for you. What exactly does Deadshot's mask do? Because he puts it on twice in the movie, and you got to figure there's a reason for it.
the only thing that I got from it is that he kills people when he puts it on.
Yeah, that's
like,
but he
I
kills
don't
people
know.
without it too.
Yeah,
just fine.
I guess he kills like the transformed like monster people that are just like the faceless bad guys, literally faceless, just bulbous black blobs on their head.
And nameless.
Yeah. Does he kill anyone the second time he puts it on? Or
No, he does. First time he puts on,
yeah, I know.
He kills the rat who's going to rat to
Mhm.
the cops.
Yeah,
and then he puts it on and jumps off the roof.
Mhm.
And then he puts it on again later at the scene you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know if that's something from the comics, but it definitely here they don't explain it at all. It just kind of like it seems to symbolize him as an assassin, I guess, or as someone who kills people. But they're not like consistent with it. It's not like he's really any different when he puts it on.
No, at all.
Yeah.
He just covers up his face.
Yeah, and like he doesn't talk when it's on. He only has it on for like 10 seconds
Mm-hmm.
in the whole movie. It's yeah. I don't know, you're talking about this for almost 45 minutes. You think we're good on Suicide Squad, or you think
I'm very good with Suicide Squad. I am okay with never talking about this movie ever again.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if you like DC stuff, you want to see, the DC movie, wait until rental.
Yeah,
because I wouldn't pay full ticket price to go see this.
Especially if you're in an area where the ticket is like $10, $12.
Yeah,
definitely not.
And the 3D didn't really feel like it was worth it. I mean, there was some decent depth stuff, but it wasn't very well focused. I felt like it didn't.
So I've seen the movie in 2D and 3D, and the only 3D effect, or the only good one, I should say, is the tentacle stuff with the witch's brother in his arms. But let's move on from one Batman related property to the next. Uh, I know you didn't play it, but you're still a fan of the property. Telltale's Batman game, episode 1.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see how that pans out because I was big into Telltale before Walking Dead even.
Yeah.
I started playing their stuff back during their Sam and Max days before they were even doing the interactive storytelling stuff. But yeah, I think around the Game of Thrones game, I was like felt checked out from their stuff. It just felt too much the same.
Yeah.
But we'll see. If people are saying this is good, I might check it out eventually. But how do you feel about it?
I love it.
Mm.
I played a little bit of the Telltale, The Walking Dead. I just kind of like I guess I got bored, but that's not because it's bad. I don't know what it was about that game. It just didn't. Maybe it was because I was fresh off of Last of Us.
Well, yeah. Well, and you hadn't. You played Last of Us by then?
Yeah, about that time.
Yeah, I mean, you had like just started playing games again around that time too. You didn't know as much. It was something that was, modern game design was still pretty foreign to you.
Yeah.
At that time.
As weird as that sounds.
Yeah, I mean, some people do. You take a break from games for several years.
You loved video games growing up. I used to play Super Nintendo and the Nintendo 64, and then GameCube was the last big game system I owned. I missed the PlayStation 2 era, Xbox era.
It was the same era. It's just you didn't get any of the PlayStation 2 or Xbox stuff.
I guess I didn't miss the era. I just missed those consoles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Nintendo's always really specific, even back then.
I missed I did miss most of the PlayStation 3 era.
Mm-hmm.
You were there when I got my PlayStation.
And you came in really late. Like you're still catching up with remasters that are coming out.
I just finished God of War 3. I haven't played 1 or 2 yet, but 3 was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Very fun to play. So yeah, I'm still catching up. I'm pretty new to gaming, but to this Telltale game, I really like. Maybe it's just the right property or something.
Yeah.
I have the first 2 Walking Dead seasons. Maybe I'll go back and play them.
Yeah, but I still haven't gotten to season 2. But by the time I got it, I was burnt out on Telltale anyway. So.
Well, if you try out this, you should let me know. I really liked Troy Baker's Batman. I think aside from, let's see, yeah, I think he's probably my second favorite aside from Kevin Conroy. Which I thought I'd be playing this game the whole time, be like, I miss Kevin Conroy, and I didn't. Oh.
Yeah, that always seems to happen with those guys. Yeah, I haven't looked at the cast list for it. It's got to have like the other big people: Travis Willingham, Laura Bailey, probably. You probably don't recognize those names.
Not a one.
They're in a ton of stuff with Troy. They were both. They were the other 2, like biggest leads in Second Son, infamous Second Son. Do you remember that game at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do remember that. That was fun.
Yeah, Laura Bailey was Fetch, and Travis Willingham was Reggie. So that's probably something I think you'd recognize them from. They're in a ton of stuff.
You know who I did recognize? Because we're talking about me continuing, like, just playing PlayStation 3 era games, and I just got done with all the Uncharted games.
Nolan North?
Sully as Carmine Falcone is excellent, and he should play that character from now to the end of time. Well, I guess until he dies. No one should be allowed to play Carmine Falcone because he is perfect. And I was smiling ear to ear like I am now the whole time he was on screen. He's brilliant.
Yeah, I don't think I don't know if he's been in a ton of games that I know of. I really just know him from Uncharted, but yeah, it's good to see that he's in something else.
Yeah, he has a very distinct voice.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I didn't, I enjoyed it much more than I thought. And I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, God, the whole Carmine Falcone thing. Again, this is the beginning of Batman's career. We saw this not that long ago in Batman Begins. And I was like, this is going to feel repetitive, and it didn't. I mean, it's right up, like, Arkham is my favorite Batman universe. And this is right up there. And
yeah, like, I've been wanting to see, actually, Falcone, like, storyline with something that was more along those lines, because In Batman Begins, he's just kind of standard, gang boss sort of guy, right? Doesn't really. I mean, that's his role anyway. But in comics, I imagine it's a little different with that kind of tone.
In comics, he's much darker. What else did I like about it? I have it written down.
You get through the whole thing?
The first episode?
Yeah,
it wasn't that long.
Yeah, I didn't think so. There's a lot of dead air.
Yeah, that's fine. One question. I think the only thing I was kind of thrown off by it in this episode, was I don't really get a sense of how long he's been doing this.
Yeah.
I would suppose because it's pre all those villains and it's during the Carmine era that he has, that he's just starting out. But there's a news report in the game that says specifically, almost word for word, that the Waynes had been shot decades ago. Batman talks about to Alfred, everything we've done up to this point is a lie. And you can tell Gotham still hasn't quite made up, but you can tell Gotham hasn't quite made up their mind yet about Batman, whether he's good or bad. So there's all these conflicting, they don't tell you right away. They don't tell you straight out at all how long he's been doing this.
Are there any like journal entry type things? Because they put those in those games often. It's kind of a pain. And I mean, I love reading stuff like that because I'm a nerd, but yeah, there might be something in there that will specifically detail it, but it should be something that's told through the actual game, and maybe they'll get around to putting in more detail to it in future episodes. I don't know.
I hope so. But yeah, there's a lot of reading to do in the Bat computer. It takes each character breakdown, even adds more as they're introduced, and it'll be, this is what you know about this character so far, and then another story point will happen with that character, and they'll add that.
Yeah.
Which I'm not a big reader in terms of video games, because I think each medium has its own advantage. I don't necessarily think that reading is my favorite part of video games.
Yeah.
But I do like it in this context because there's so many characters and so many things going on, even though it's just the first episode, that I can go back and be like, oh yeah, this happened with this guy. That's right. And it can be, who's this guy? Oh yeah, and it's not forced.
Yeah.
You can look at it if you want, or you can just go straight into the click the hard drive, go to the next episode, or whatever. And the action, the first few minutes I was unsure. I was like, oh boy, this is like quick time events, the whole freaking action. But I got into it.
They've gotten pretty good at
and
that.
They vary the battle. They vary it up so that it never gets boring. He's always using different gadgets or different fights.
Yeah, and they've gotten kind of a decent repertoire of different actions they do during that stuff. Even in Walking Dead, it wouldn't be all just hitting buttons. They mix it up a little bit.
And he has this, I like the look of the Batman, and he kind of, just like in the BVS, he has this voice, Bruce Wayne voice, which he talks normal, but when he's going to beat some ass or like interrogate a bad guy or something, he switches this button on his cowl, and it's the voice modulator. It makes it darker, which I liked, and then it also turns his eyes white. The cowl, you can choose. Another aspect I like is just a little detail at the beginning, but you get to select the color of the bat gadgets.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And it'll be that color for the rest of the game. So it was kind of cool. So I picked blue because I thought it looked more like Batman, but you can pick like red and stuff. And so when you're investigating stuff or something, they'll be in blue. But then also when he's going to go beat some ass, he'll press that button, his eyes will turn the classic white, which is cool. It's called Batman, but you spend most of the game as Bruce Wayne, which sounds boring as hell, but it's so enticing. There's so much drama going on. I'm like, oh my god, I have 5 seconds to say one of these things, and I always feel like I'm going to say the wrong thing, or I end up saying the wrong thing, and I'll be, oh shit, I didn't mean to say that. I'm so sorry. What's going to happen? Then the icon shows up. Harvey Dent will remember that. No, please don't.
Did they let you turn that off in this one? Because they did in Walking Dead, and they didn't in Wolf Among Us.
There wasn't. I didn't see an option. I don't know if you can. I never looked because I kind of like it.
I think they took it. think they took it out. Yeah. I mean, I liked not knowing
Mhm.
when different choices happen. That's one of my philosophies for like things like that is to not tell the player, just let it happen. But
Yeah.
you know, that's what they do, and I imagine it's because you know there's probably a bunch of people who would play these games who would just get confused or frustrated when
Mhm.
certain things happen and they didn't get a heads up. But
I think another aspect. So the Arkham games are obviously action oriented. This game is very, like I said, melodramatic, but the detective work you get to do as Batman is so much fun. I love it. It'll give you. There's this one scene in particular where he goes to this warehouse, dead bodies everywhere, things have been destroyed.
He killed them all, obviously.
And you, yes, because that's what Batman does. And
mystery solved.
And you have to look. It gives you a handful of evidence. It doesn't just say here, figure it out, which I like because I like a little bit of help. I mean, I guess I should say help, but I don't like to be overwhelmed. And you kind of there's this tool where you get to click one of the evidence, drag a line over to another piece of evidence, so analyze it, see if it works. Maybe there's something there, possibility there, maybe not. And if you think it connects to it, if you think that evidence better connects to something else, and you click and drag that, and then a whole story will unfold. It's fun. I really enjoy it. And the very, like I said, you got the action, you got the detective work, you got the melodrama. It's all in there, man. It's very. It's probably some of the most fun I've had in a 3-hour chunk of time. Let's see. You played a game too?
Yeah. Abzu came out this week.
So I did get it right.
Yes.
All right.
I mean, it's kind of an odd name.
It is. What is Abzu?
I don't know why it's called Abzu. It's not like that game company games where it's pretty straightforward. But I mean, I'm sure it is. Abzu probably stands for something. I mean, something. And this game is made by Giant Squid, which is
an original name.
Yeah, I guess. It's it's made up of some of the remnants of that game company who made Journey and Flower and Flow. Yeah, they had a 3-game deal with Sony and split up, and then one of the lead designers and the lead composer from that game company are one of the people that they're touting for being a Giant Squid and working on Abzu. And I don't know, and there's not a ton to really say about it. I mean, there's some. It's a lot like Journey.
Well, you love Journey.
Yeah, I do. I mean, there are some things that feel kind of beat for beat like some of the moments of Journey, which so if you've played Journey before, it doesn't feel as magical, I suppose. But it's still it took my breath away several times. It's a very, very beautiful game. The score is amazing, as usual for them.
So what's the point? Are you like a scuba diver?
Kind of.
What's the story?
As usual for them, it's kind of pretty esoteric. There's not really a straightforward story. There's murals on the wall and stuff. They tell it in kind of an interesting way where you just kind of go through these areas and there are these abstract murals, kind of like Egyptian murals on the wall.
Murals.
Yeah, which tells the story of this, place you're in, I guess. I don't want to give too much away because it is something I feel like it's best to try and figure it out for yourself.
Like Suicide Squad.
Yeah, exactly like Suicide Squad. I mean, it's probably less confusing than the plot of Suicide Squad, to be honest. But yeah, the main thing and the thing that sets it apart the most from Journey is that it's all in the ocean. And
so it's like Journey in the ocean.
Yeah, kind of. Journey was in the desert. There were a lot of browns or kind of more washed out colors, and that game is really beautiful with what they're working with and stuff, and it worked really well for that. And Abzu is has some similar aesthetics, but it's different in the fact that it's very, very vibrant and
Mhm.
very colorful. And you can tell that they're working off of better tech because everywhere is just filled with fish. There's fish everywhere. And that's like a big deal. Like it feels like educational in a way of how they're showing you different fish. Like there are certain bigger fish like sharks or, you know, other sea creatures like whales and stuff where you hold a button and you'll grab onto them. You can kind of steer them around a little bit.
That's awesome. Can you ride a shark?
Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
But it's like they clearly have a mind of their own still, so you can't like take them anywhere.
Well, that's cool.
One time I latched onto like a smaller shark, like tiger shark or something, and I was flying it around, and I went by the school of fish, and he just started eating the fish, and I couldn't get him to leave the little school of fish. So I just hopped off him.
A little education.
Mm-hmm. And whenever you do that, it shows you like the name like pretty unintrusively at the bottom of the screen, and there's little checkpoints that you go sit at, and your character will meditate at, and it'll just kind of
underwater.
Yeah. Well, he's like I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything, but he's fine underwater. He just kind of you stay under there for the majority of the game. Maybe. You don't know.
I don't know. I'm only taking what I know from other stories.
Yeah. But yeah, you go to these like points where you meditate, and it'll basically you go around to different fish, and you can move the camera around them, and it tells you their name and stuff. And
that sounds boring.
I mean, it's very calming. It's very serene, and the movement, like in most of the games, feels kind of weird and floaty at first, but you get used to it, and ends up being like really fun. Like once you figure everything out, like you're doing loops and jumping out of the water and shit, and it's pretty fun. And like fish, when you have like a boost you can do, and fish will like follow alongside you when you do that.
Is it because they're trapped in your current?
Maybe they're just following your current. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, and it's just like a crazy impressive number of things on screen that are all moving independently at the same time. Like all with their own kind of AI and moving around, and carnivorous fish will eat other fish, and just all this interesting stuff, and
feels like a lively world.
Yeah, it does. And there's points which has been in this one point where it was in promotional stuff, so it's probably not spoiling much. But there's one of those huge like swarms of fish that you might have seen on nature shows or something, where they just like it's like hundreds of fish just like going in a circle over and over again, like eating or something. And there's you can go into that, and you can go like through the center where it's like the eye of the storm, and there's nothing there, and you're just all these fish swirling around you. You can go into the actual like thing, and it's just you can hardly see. It's like I don't know. It's beautiful in its own way of like how you kind of can feel like part of this huge mass of fish, and you can kind of see it from a distance. And yeah, and there are parts with whales, like the whales that should be huge are huge, and they're very majestic.
Very slow moving.
Mm.
But they swim beautifully.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a ton to say, really. It's a gorgeous game. They do just as amazing of a job as they have in the past with connecting you with the events that are going on in the area, make you feel a lot of very strong emotions.
Very educational.
Well, yeah, if you want it to be, it's pretty optional, that part. But yeah, it's gorgeous, and I mean it's like $20 for a game.
That's it?
Yeah,
oh.
But it's only like a couple hours.
Oh.
It's not very long, but it's a fantastic experience. I'd recommend anyone go check it out, and I think those kinds of games are great. I think $20 is worth supporting something like that. So
I got hacked the other day.
You got hacked?
Yeah. I was sleeping in because it was my day off, and then my phone goes off. I check it. It says, Sony thanks you for your purchase. I was like, what? So I read it, and it said $25 was added to my wallet. I was like, what the hell? And then a couple of minutes later, I got another email saying, thank you for your purchase. And it was another 15 minutes. Another $15 added to my wallet. And then a couple minutes later, I got a third email saying thank you for your purchase. And it ended up being somebody had bought a stupid $40 soccer game on my account. I hate soccer. And I said that in my email that I sent to Sony. I said, this is an unauthorized purchase on my account. I hate soccer. And then they sent me an email back saying, look, you idiot. You agreed to being responsible for your own account. You should probably set a password before you buy stuff. We will put the money back into your wallet. Won't really give you a refund.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just a courtesy thing, and we'll cancel that purchase for you, but don't expect it again. So I was like, cool, that's fine.
Yeah.
So now I got $35, $40 in my wallet, and then I spent $5 on the Batman game. So
Yeah, that's what. What do you think he was gonna do? Sit there and play like FIFA, like on someone else's account, and they weren't gonna notice? That seems weird. Don't I feel like usually if you access it from a new system, you have to go through all this stuff. You might want to change all of your passwords.
Oh, I did.
Okay.
I changed everything.
That's good.
I changed security questions. I put password before my purchase, which I highly recommend everybody does. Go to your Sony account. Make sure that you have to put in your password before you purchase anything. It's probably a smart idea.
Mm.
Password is really intricate. That fucker's not going to get in there again. I hope.
Yeah. The only experience I have with that is that some guy somewhere in Africa, I think, tried to get into my Google account.
Yeah, I think that was happening a lot to
Which
people.
is odd. Yeah, and I just got an email about it. It's like, oh, change my password.
Somebody was in that Mariah too. It was a big thing about that.
Yeah.
Had been happening over Google. Now I'm all out of my sparkling ice, orange mango.
Disgusting. Sparkling ice. It's gonna give you like
Cancer?
Cancer and
Well, it doesn't give you cancer.
ulcers and stuff.
All right.
Pulmonary embolisms.
I know. I only played one game. How do you feel about the pulmonary embolisms?
Yeah.
How do you feel about pulmonary embolisms? No. Not good. I highly do not recommend pulmonary embolisms.
Yeah. I'm against them.
Yeah, for sure.
I think some people aren't going to agree with me on that, but I'm against them. I'm against pulmonary embolisms.
Blood clots don't matter.
You know what I say? I think people are going a little too hard on it. Just a little bit. couldn't keep it together for that?
I don't have any witty remark for that.
That's surprising coming from you.
I know. I'm so full of them. All right, let's pick a final topic here, shall we? End with something sort of short and sweet, I guess. So it's coming out in March. March, my birthday. Nintendo NX. There's rumors about it being, first off, that it's going to get a lot of games in the first 6 months.
Mm.
But it's going to be not quite as powerful as the PS4. How do you feel?
That's not surprising at all, really. Nintendo hasn't been pushing hardware for a long time. I mean, probably since the GameCube, and even the GameCube wasn't the strongest thing in that generation. Yeah, like they've been making jumps that they feel like are like the lowest rung that they need to kind of like check off, in order to satiate people. But
we would like to take a moment of silence to honor the fallen Chekhov from Star Trek. Anton Yelchin. Join hands with me, Alex. Let's take a moment of silence. Rest in peace, Chekhov. I'm sorry. Continue.
Is the other Chekhov still alive from the original series?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just bring him in.
The new Chekhov did not live the old Chekhov.
It's sad. It's really sad. That's a sad story.
Yeah, that was really sudden, like just out of nowhere. Great way to end a podcast. Yeah, the death of Anton Yelchin. What were we talking about again?
Nintendo.
Yeah, I hope that they don't have another crazy, weird controller
Yeah.
this time around.
So have you heard about it? The rumors of it possibly being a handheld system. Handheld, like, is going to be the emphasis, but you can also hook it up to television. It's gonna have a
yeah, I
port.
think I've heard something about that.
That just
I
kind of
don't
sounds like the Wii.
I mean, it feels entirely unnecessary too. Like they,
I mean, isn't the 3DS doing well?
I have a hard time believing that they do that. Like, I mean, the 3DS isn't doing as well as the DS did,
Mhm.
but you know, the Wii U's not doing as well as the Wii did. Like, they're just kind of losing steam, and I think doing something weird like this isn't gonna really get people all that excited. You know, I mean, there are like 5 people who actually used the handle on the back of the GameCube. Like, you know, it people don't really carry around their consoles that much anymore. I mean, I've heard of a bunch of people that even like not playing their 3DS on the go. I don't. I'd sit in my room and play it, and so I have my charger nearby and everything, and I don't really play mobile much at all unless it's on my phone. So I don't know. I think it'd be a better, the best move would be for them to make a strong home living room console, and then for their mobile experience, push for phones more. Because even though I hate mobile games on phones for the most part, I think Nintendo is going to do crazy well with that, as they already have. Like, they've been blowing out.
Yeah, they're gonna need at least longevity. I think they'll need more third-party support. You know, Link and Mario.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can only do that, but the main Nintendo games are pretty much all the Wii U had. Then do too well.
Well, there's a lot of confusion as to what the Wii U was, and all sorts of things. And
need another Animal Crossing.
Yeah, they keep trying to do weird, like, things, like innovations in quotes, where they just kind of like tack on something that's supposed to be new instead of actually changing anything. I don't know. Hopefully what was it, Breath of the Wild, the new Zelda game, will be actually making real changes, and we'll see something more interesting. But I don't know. I think Nintendo makes pretty good games. And the hardware is always an issue when it comes to third party, which is unfortunate because no one, like, it's hard to port things to hardware that's below the standard that everyone's developing for. Which is why the original we had so many like shitty ports, because they had to basically make a whole nother game with barely any budget, and they weren't able to use a ton of the stuff that was already made for the other consoles. So we'll see. I mean, hopefully they'll get some more third-party support, but I think it's unlikely with weaker hardware that's really going to happen.
Yeah, they really need to. I mean, maybe that's not what they want.
Yeah, and
maybe they have big plans to surprise all of us.
Yeah, well, and Microsoft and Sony have a ton of money from other things that they can use on console development, because making this powerful hardware for and selling it at a relatively low price for what it is, they take huge losses. Like, that's not what they make their money off of, and Nintendo, I don't think, is willing to do that, because their games are all they have. So yeah, I think that's probably why they're going for the weaker hardware, but it's not really. I don't think it's really holding up for them in the end too much because of the third-party support, because it's just hard to support something like that in the current market, where things are supposed to be on like all sorts of different systems to reach as many people as possible, and it's just a resource that most people don't want to spend money on, like, or to divert the resources to making a port that has to change all these things fundamentally.
Nintendo's gonna have to step up their online.
Yeah, well, and with that, like, them being so family friendly, they have all these things in place to make online unnecessarily complicated, I suppose, so kids don't run into strangers. Which I guess is a noble cause.
That's a good plot for a horror movie.
Yeah.
Strangers on the Wii. Yeah. We'll call it Strangers on the Wii. We strangers.
And it's just a little kid serial killer that meets people, like meets kids online because he's a wee serial killer.
You made that sound exciting.
Yeah, I make everything sound exciting.
All right, well, that's it. That wasn't so bad, was it?
No.
How long did that take?
About an hour 15.
It's not bad at all.
Not bad. Hopefully people were entertained.
Yeah, I hope so. I know I was. That's all that matters, right?
We didn't have our typical wit that we usually do. I feel like we're a little reserved, aside from my AIDS joke, which might get some people mad at me.
I'm mad at you.
You are?
No. No, please.
Yeah.
Me of all people, upset at an AIDS joke, please.
Yeah, you've done worse, I think. And hopefully, eventually.
We're not going to talk about that here.
Hopefully, eventually you will.
Yeah.
You'll let loose your real self.
My real self?
Yeah. Who says horrible things about people.
I don't know what he's talking about, folks, but that wraps it up for us.
The internet's going to be mad at you anyway.
All right, so that wraps up our first episode of Port of Dorks. Thanks for all you dorks for listening. I hope you were entertained, as Alex said. We're going to get back at you next week. We have a whole new list of things to talk about. Aim for around Friday. Probably shoot a little earlier than that, because weekends are my busy time. I usually have middle of the week off. But we'll see. We'll get into a flow, a rhythm. We'll find ourselves, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
We'll find an identity.
You want to plug the Twitter for, the 2 people who are going to listen to the podcast?
Don't say that. We already have. I started a Twitter account for us.
Yeah.
We already got 70 followers.
Oh, we do?
We do. I'll show you.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because you have your whole rating following.
Yeah, so you can. That's a good idea. So you can follow Port of Dorks on Twitter at Port of Dorks. One word. No underscore. Just Port of Dorks. On Twitter, be our 71st and 72nd followers.
We should start setting stretch goals, like we're going to do weird stuff, like everyone else does.
Yeah.
Just set the bar really low, though. We get 71, we're going to shave our heads. We're not going to post any pictures of it. You're just going to have to take our word for it on the podcast.
Oh, okay. Oh, I can do that one. That's easy. Yeah. If we get 71 followers by tomorrow, we're going to shave our heads. Yeah.
Yeah. No photos, though. Don't ask.
Yeah. Just take our words for it. All right, everybody. Well, hope you have a fabulous week. Let's do some more plugs. You got Twitter? You can follow me, JP, at Twitter, at Muppety Man. That's just Muppety Man. One word, no underscore. Alex?
I never really tweet, but my Twitter is at the knife ear, which I'm actually probably going to change soon because it's very clunky.
Like knife ear? Like knife like in the kitchen and ear.
Yeah.
But the knife ear.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Like a slur for elves. That's what a knife ear is.
You're so racist.
But it's I don't like it because knife ends with an E and then ear starts with an E. And
it's
so
clunky.
2 E's in a row.
Obviously
and it
not
looks
right
weird.
away.
I've written a couple things.
What else? You can also follow me on Instagram at MupptyMan. You can follow my blog, Movie Minutes, on Blogger, movieminutes.blogger.com. YouTube, Movie Minutes is the name of my channel. I've got so much. Movie Minutes at Twitter, which is at 1 Minute Film Reviews, or 1 Min Film Reviews, short for minute. It's 1, the letter 1. Letter 1, oh my goodness gracious. The number 1. And then Min, M-I-N.
We've been talking for a long time.
And then reviews. Hey, you know what? We like to talk. That's why we're doing this.
I know. It's easy to get mixed up after,
Oh, okay.
nearly an hour
so
and a
you're
half
in defense,
of straight talk.
not actually attacking me.
No.
Okay, well, thank you.
All
right.
Did you plug your YouTube channel?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's Movie Minutes.
I thought you were
just go to youtube.com/Movie Minutes. All right, unless you got anything else.
No, I'm doing nothing.
All right,
This
well.
is about it.
All right, well, we'll see you next week. Take care, dorks.